So, welcome in. How is everyone doing? So, today we are going to be talking about hexes, curses, and jinxes, right? So, before I really get into the nitty gritty of it, what I want to say is there are a lot of people out there who believe that, okay, uh, number one, you can't do hexes, you can't do curses, you can't do anything baneful magic of the sort, or else that same energy is going to come back to you, right? And that is a very specific belief, and it's a Wiccan belief, right? So if you are Wiccan, then that is something that those people follow. If you're not Wiccan, you don't really have to follow that same belief. You don't really have to go through that same indoctrination. And that's not exactly true, right? I think it's called the threefold law, where it's like, okay, if you send any negative energy out there, then that energy will come back to you three times. That's not true at all. What is true is cause and effect, right? Every action has a reaction. Some of those reactions are good, some of those reactions are bad, right? So it's just important that if you do any baneful magic, if you do any hexes or curses, you are aware of the potential possibilities, right? Someone's protections could be stronger than your spell, and that could cause that spell to backfire, right? There's always the case that a spell could backfire, a spell could go the way that you don't want it to. So it helps to be prepared. It helps to, number one, be protected, to include a failsafe into your spell work where it's like, okay, if this doesn't go the way that I want it to, I have a way to undo this spell, right? So just be cautious, just be safe, and don't go hexing people willy nilly. That's always a bad idea, right? Don't hex someone just because they didn't say hi to you, just because they cut in front of you, cut you off. That's very reckless, and it could potentially cause a spell to backfire, right? So just be aware of the potential consequences of your actions. That's not saying you can't do any baneful magic. Do what your heart desires, right? This is me just giving you some information about these things and hoping that you do what you will with that information, right? Take that knowledge as you will. So, to start off, we're getting into the nitty gritty of it. There are basically different levels of baneful magic, right? The lowest level being jinxes. A jinx is just an inconvenience. It's something that's annoying. It's negative energy sent to someone that's meant to basically annoy them, cause an inconvenience, and slightly irritate. Right? It's nothing that's really going to hurt anyone. It's nothing that's really going to do anything major. That's like, oh, they stub their toe every time that they walk out of their house, right? Or they step on a Lego, or they hit all red lights on the way to work, or they end up dropping their last bite of food, right? It's nothing bad, but it sure is going to inconvenience them, right? And if I was already having a rough day and one of these things already happened, I would probably go bananas. I would probably go berserk. So that's just me though. But jinxes are basically minor inconveniences uh, that irritate someone. And then we go one level up. Those are hexes, right? Those are more powerful spells. They don't last forever. It's like, oh, okay, this person loses their job. This person uh, breaks up with their significant other, right? This person goes through a horrible time, but they don't last forever. It's like, okay, a one and done, right? This thing happens and then it's over. Sometimes it can be hard to tell that someone has done a hex on you just because it's like for a singular event, you know? But they can be pretty powerful. They can have a lot of energy behind it. And then the next level up is curses. Those ones have the power behind them, but they also last a good while, right? This is like never getting into a stable relationship. Every relationship always ends horribly. This is like curse on your bloodline, family curses, generational curses, those types of things. This is something that continuously happens and you'll notice it because it's always something that doesn't work out. Like you're never able to keep a job, you're never able to make friends, stuff of that nature, right? So it's something that lasts for a prolonged period of time. Plus, it has that same power of a hex, and that same energy of a hex. It just lasts for a lot longer, right? So now that we've covered the different types of baneful magic, what would one do for baneful magic, right? Fun little fact here. Most of the same things that you would put in a hex can also be used to undo a hex, right? So just keep that in mind. I'm going to go over some ingredients that you can use to do a hex or to break a hex, right? First ones that I'm going to talk about are garlic and onion. And these specifically I like to use to break hexes, right? Onions, really good at absorbing any negative, harmful energy and just dispelling it somewhere else, right? Onions absorb that and then you throw that away and it takes it somewhere else, right? Garlic repels that energy. It's like it creates a bubble barrier and it pushes it back. Uh, so I like to use those two specifically to repel any hexes or curses or baneful magic, right? And they work really well. Could you potentially also use those in a hex? Yes, but I feel like those work better to repel. That's just my personal opinion. We also have black pepper, right? I would use this one for either or to do a hex or to prevent one just because black pepper is really good at also protecting against negative, unwanted, harmful energies, right? But there's a little bit of spice to it. So I feel like it could be used for low level jinxes, right? I wouldn't try and do anything major with it, right? But to cause a slight inconvenience, I think you could use pepper. Um, that is just my own personal opinion. And then spicing it up a little bit, we have things like chili peppers, right? Bell peppers, all of the jalapeno peppers, those types of things really good for using in hexes, right? Because they have that fire to them, they have that spice to them, they burn. Fun fact about chili peppers is they have a defense mechanism, right? Their defense mechanism is to make your mouth burn to potentially keep you from eating it. And we felt that burn and we were like, I like it. That's a nice little burn on my tongue. And their defense mechanism sort of backfired on it because we were like, this is a good burn. How crazy of us. But, so you can use those same energies to use in a hex just because it has that fire, it has that intensity. You can use it to bring in chaos, destructions, those types of things. And it would be really good for that, right? Also, chili oil, same thing. Same thing. I have some chili oil that I use whenever I use chili oil for protection and for hexes, right? I use them for both. I use it for protection when I'm trying to add a little bit of kick. When I'm like, okay, let me repel this slightly. Let me bring it back to whoever sent this energy to me. Let me send that back. That's what I use that for. And then I use it for hexes also. And then if you wanted to get a little creative with it, my favorite thing about spell work and magic is getting creative with it, right? We have eggshells. I am dangerously low on eggshells, actually. Thank you for noticing. But eggshells are known for its protection, for its cleansing actions. But when you think about an egg, it is fragile, right? It's easily broken, right? You know to be careful around eggs because it will break. It's not something that's very sturdy. And so I like to use that energy of fragility. I like to use that easily broken energy sometimes in hexes, just to bring in more instability, right? Getting a little bit creative with it. You can also use broken mirrors, right? Mirrors reflect what is already there, right? It's just a reflection of what is there. A broken mirror, however, is a distorted reflection. It no longer shows you what's there, it shows you a false reality. And you can use that same energy of the distortion of the false reality to bring in a hex if you wanted to. That one I haven't done. I recently actually, for no good reason, thought about that one. And I was like, if someone wanted to, they could, right? They could make someone see a false reality, make someone believe something that isn't actually happening. which could be potentially very dangerous. So use that one with caution. Um, right. I just thought of it, thought I'd share it with you guys. We also have war water. Now, war water is basically water that has chaotic, destructive, breaking down energy, right? How does it get this energy? Well, from several different things. You can put rusted nails in there, and that rust will give it that energy, right? Because rust breaks things down, it corrodes things, um, and it'll have that energy. You can scream at a bottle of water, and that water will then be infused with that angry, chaotic, destructive energy, and that would work just fine, right? You don't have to do something fancy, you don't have to do something special. You could have a bottle of water and just scream at it whenever you're angry, and then that becomes war water, right? And it's a great way to release that anger. If there's a storm out that's like pretty chaotic, pretty wild, pretty all over the place, you can put the water out there and it'll absorb those chaotic properties, right? During certain eclipses, right? Sometimes eclipses bring chaos, bring uncertainty. You can put water out there and it'll absorb that energy as well. And you can use this war water for either or to do a hex, to break a hex, right? That chaos, that uh, just everywhere energy can help undo a hex, especially if you use rusted nails for it, right? Rusted nails have a way of corroding things. It has a way of eating things up and disintegrating it. So, like, rusted nails are great for breaking hexes just because it'll break away at that spell, right? They're also good in hexes for the same purpose. So, if you use war water and you use rusted nails, then you could do that one too, right? It's one of my favorite things. I just recently made some. Fun fact, if you don't have any rusted nails, right, you can make your own rusted nails. Because I didn't have any. So I bought me some nails and I put them in some water and I put some salt in there, right? And within a couple of days, rust appeared, right? And then once the rust appears, what you want to do is you want to take the nails out of the water, let them dry, right? And you're all good. It's all solid. Okay? And if they aren't rusted to your liking, do the same process again once they're dry though. These are my rusted nails that I created. I think they look beautiful. I think they look amazing. I'm very proud of them. So those are all the things that I can think of. There's also graveyard dirt, right? Me personally, I don't use graveyard dirt, and the reason why I don't is because I don't want to be disrespectful, right, to the spirits there. And I have no real reason to use graveyard dirt, right? Like there are so many other resources available to me that I really don't need graveyard dirt. Can you use graveyard dirt? Graveyard dirt, yes, but it's so important that when you're in a graveyard period, that you are respectful, that you are thanking whatever spirits are there, that you're giving them time, that you're giving them energy. Um, and I feel like there's specific graveyard etiquette, right? I don't know this etiquette. And so because I don't, I'm like, I'm just gonna stay away, right? I don't need to be there anyways. I'm solid, I'm good. So if you're like, oh, but what about graveyard dirt? I would do more research about that, right? I would look more closely into that. But I'm not someone who uses graveyard dirt. And this is just a small list of things that you can use in hexes or in spells. It's not a full comprehensive list, right? So if you think of something that you're like, oh, you could also use this, absolutely. Absolutely you can. Okay? Um, this is just some of the things that you could easily acquire that don't take a lot of time, that don't take a lot of energy, um, and that you could potentially have right on hand. So that is what that is. I hope you enjoyed this small short video. Can't wait to see you guys for the next video.